Does that mean we can move on from The Hobbit now?
Oh no, still in The Hobbit. You know, I'm still in The Hobbit.
Was he? No one told me.
No, I didn't know.
Welcome, friends and fans, to another edition of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today's show will indeed be bigger on the inside than it appears on the outside, with 4 incarnations of the Doctor. So without further ado, let's reverse the polarity of the neutron flow and materialize them in. Our first guest is an actor and musician whose body of work includes Campion, The Last Detective, and Law & Order UK. Today he joins us to discuss his time as the 5th Doctor. Please welcome for the first time on the GalaxyCon virtual stage, Mr. Peter Davison.
Hiya, how are you?
Good, Peter. How you been?
I've been very well. I'm very well. I'm locked in the back room of my house, which actually is where I've been for most of the last 2 years. So it's actually not that unusual. No, I'm very well, very well.
Oh, indeed. Curious, during the lockdown, we all suffered through the interesting times we had. I got a chance to discover a Toast of London, and it was just great seeing you satirize yourself.
I think I was a rather extreme version of myself, I'd like to think, but maybe not. I don't know. I think he's doing a toast in the USA now, I think.
I think that was the plans. I know that he was talking about doing that, but I'm not sure where it's, or maybe it's just in the works. I thought
it was happening, but maybe it's not confirmed. So maybe it
could be all the way too. But anyway, well, Peter, thank you for joining us here on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. So glad to have you here. And before I bring out about your fellow doctors, I just want to say you were the first Doctor I saw at a convention in Miami, and I won't say the year for both of our sakes.
It's a long time ago.
It absolutely was, and you were in some way my inspiration for my convention host career. So thank you for starting us off and bringing us full circle. Cheers. And next, he is an actor whose body of work includes the brothers War and Peace and Blake Seven. Today, he's here to discuss his role as the 6th Doctor. Please welcome back Colin Baker.
Hello there. Nice to see you, Patty.
Good to see you, Colin. How you holding up?
And so Peter was responsible for you doing this job. So we have him to thank for so many things.
He started it. You cemented it because you went to that same Miami show like 2 years later.
Oh, right. All right. That was before I even started playing the part.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, which was weird.
You were signing autographs, and I had an Anthony Ainley in my hand. You held it up to Anthony and said, I heard you can get 3 of these for one Colin Baker.
I started as I meant to go on, didn't I?
Well, Colin, welcome back. So glad to have you here again. Glad you still have the lucky Dalek that you saved from the side of the road.
I do. There he is over my shoulder. Over my shoulder goes one Dalek.
There you go. Colin, welcome back. Always glad to have you. And next, he is an actor whose roles include Sense8, The Hobbit, and will soon be seen in Rob Zombie's cinematic reboot of The Munsters. Today, he joins us to talk about his time as Colin Baker wig model and the 7th Doctor. Please welcome back Sylvester McCoy.
Hello, top of the morning to you.
Indeed. Yeah,
indeed.
indeed.
Day to me.
Yep. How you doing? How you been, Sylvester?
Me?
How you been?
Quite well.
Oh, good. Yeah, the announcement dropped yesterday. You're going to be in the new Munsters. I'm very excited to see more about that, and look forward to talking about it in a future installment. Yeah, indeed.
Does that mean we can move on from The Hobbit now?
Oh no, still in The Hobbit. You know, I'm still in The Hobbit.
Was he? No one told me.
No, I didn't know.
Well, I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't seen the 5-ish Doctors. So there you go. And finally, he is an actor whose body of work includes With Nail and I, Hornblower and Luther. Today, he joins us to discuss his role as the 8th Doctor. Please welcome back Paul McGann.
Hi, Pat. Oh no, the lights have just gone out in here. Must be your charisma.
He's even darker than normal.
Hello, GalaxyCon. It's good to see you again in space. You can't see me very well, though. I can see. Look, I've gone all red. Hang on. Talk about yourselves while I try and sort the lights out here, because my key light's just gone out. Hang on.
Paul's got to set himself up as a new horror host.
I think.
Oh, well, Colin's working on that. Let me just say, gentlemen, thanks again for joining us on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Our team is going through our chat room right now, pulling out the questions for us. In the meantime, I'll just throw this one out. For each of you, during your time as the Doctor, what would you consider be the wildest day you had on your respective sets?
Quick, somebody jump in. The wildest day. I don't know. The wildest day. Well, I had to do a scene, I think, for Warriors of the Deep, where I had to jump in a great big tank of water, where they meant to have poured it in a few days before, because when you pour water freshly into a tank, it's freezing cold, and so they usually do that about 2 days before. But they forgot to do it. It was at the Army. I think it was the Army training center. And so when they made me jump in it, they didn't tell it me. It was nearly freezing, and I was stuck in there for a good hour. Couldn't feel any part of my body at all, and I had no idea how high your voice goes when you have to jump into a very, very cold tank of water. It's absolutely crazy. You start talking like that.
That'd do it. That would do it. Who's got another one?
I suppose my wildest day is the day I took over from Peter, because I was left under no illusion that you are dependent on so many things, like the magma monster that never worked because there wasn't time to shoot him, and all the effects guys had built this wonderful thing called the magma monster that Peter was supposed to fight and kill, and suddenly it turned into a dead magma monster that stepped over in a corridor because they didn't have time to shoot it. Yeah. Then I thought, this is pretty wild.
I've got one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, but I've got no.
Right. Okay. You have to speak loudly. I can speak ordinary. We were recording on Easter Monday. It was the anniversary of the Easter Rebellion in Ireland, when the Irish rose up against the British Empire and started the collapse of the whole thing. Anyway, we were filming under Waterloo Station, and the pyrotechnic boys at the BBC set off this huge explosion. And suddenly it was on the radio that the IRA had blown up Waterloo Station. Someone had forgotten to tell someone else that the BBC were blowing up Waterloo Station. So suddenly fire engines and ambulances and police cars and the cars all around where we were, their alarms went off, windows were cracked. It was on the news. The IRA, had blown up the Waterloo. And I was standing there when an ambulance came down towards me, and there was smoke coming out from, the tunnel. And the ambulance driver screeched to a halt, and his chin fell down to his chest, because out of the smoke came 3 Daleks. But if you listen close enough, you might hear them say, "Exterminate, Bio, exterminate."
It's the way to.
I believe it.
My wildest day simply was that one day that it took us to shoot Night of the Doctor. That's 6 months short. It was bonkers. It was fantastic. And, we managed to. We crashed a craft. I ended up on the planet with the sisters. There was regeneration. I turned into John Hurt. Et al, all in a day. And that was pretty wild, let me tell you.
One day shoot.
We shot it in a day. Pretty much 10 minutes the next morning, but that was just over the day.
Yeah.
So it's people like you, Paul.
Well, I remember because it was in
make us do everything in a shorter time. You do it so quick. We have to match you.
Well, that's it. I remember because when we shot it in a corner of the studio in Cardiff, where they'd only just finished the 50th film, and they'd had a rack party. I know, because it was still remnants of the do. We were having to step over them, and bodies and stuff, and people doing the walk of shame down in Cardiff. So yeah, that was a wild day, memorable.
There you go. Well, gentlemen, thank you for indulging my capricious curiosity. We are good to go at our audience questions. Let's roll our first one, and this is going to come from Grumble Bottom, who wants to know, what is everyone's favorite villain that your Doctor may have never faced?
Weeping Angels.
Yeah, Weeping Angel. I agree with you there, McCoy. Love to have done that, Weeping Angel.
Yeah, I would say Weeping Angels, but as the two of them have said it, I'll maybe go for the silence. You know, that was
yeah, the silence was good. I like the silence. And the Slitheen, they farted.
There you go. That works. There you go. Grumble Bottom. Fun question to start us off with. And thank you. And what do we have next? From Hannah. What was your favorite Doctor Who episode or particular scene to film?
Go.
Well, I'd have to go for I don't know which episode I pick of Caves of Androzani, because you know, my previous seasons and Doctor Who until that point had been filmed in a very traditional studio bound way for the most part, where the director is up in the gallery giving instructions through the first to the actors, and a lot of we shoot it on 4 cameras usually, and it tends to make the whole scene very static. And we had a new director, Graham Harper, on Caves of Androzani, and he insisted on directing on the floor, and he more often than not used one camera and would just shoot different angles, which opened up the whole thing. And it was just a very exciting and actually very fast, much faster than usual. And I just remember thinking, damn, why did this have to be my last story? Because it seemed like the way that we did Doctor Who was changing. You know, I mean, didn't altogether work out that way, because obviously Graham, I think, did direct more episodes, but not that many. And you know, it just tended to be a lot of people standing in a row sometimes and going, look, and then they cut to a door that was opening and things like that. But I just found it very exciting. I didn't realize that sort of thing could be done in a video studio, because it hadn't been prior to that.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Oh, well.
For me, it was the 2 doctors working with Patrick. Patrick, who I think all of us on this screen would agree was the doctor who did the hardest job of the lot, which was the first regeneration. Otherwise, we wouldn't all be here talking to you. And he was a lovely man, a lovely actor. I enjoyed working with him enormously. And we got to film in Seville. So what's not to like about that?
It's a bit hot, maybe. I watched it the other day, Colin, actually.
So did I.
It was a bit hot.
Yes, you could tell it. Saw your braces for the first time.
Oh, I've been hiding them from you all these years. It's been very interesting. I'll explain to the viewers. We've all been forced to watch each other's programs for Blu-ray extras, and most of us have never seen each other doing the Doctor. So we're all forced to be really polite and kind.
Really?
I hope.
Are you polite and kind?
Oh, I didn't know. Oh gosh. You never
I
told me
just
about
we were
that.
all
mate.
sitting on a panel, you know, like we are now. We were very rude to each other.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness. So Sylvester, go ahead.
Oh, mine. I don't know. It's the fun for me. It's not so much the episodes; it's the making of them, and you know, it's not how they look on the screen. It's all the fun we had. You know, getting them together. I suppose the greatest show in the galaxy was great fun because I got to work with T.P. McKenna, and we became firm friends for years afterwards. And I got to ride about in one of those 3-wheel motorbikes that, you know, that guys with horns coming out their heads ride about in. And it was like a spaghetti western as well while we made it. And so I enjoyed that because I got to ride a horse, and it was in the deserts of Dorset, over 100 degrees. It was very hot. Like, we didn't have to go to Seville. It was great.
There you have it. Paul, bring us home.
Mine was in the '96 movie. It was the first day. Nervous excitement. Working with Daphne Ashbrook. I just remember we were at that house with the tall windows. I think there's a scene where the Doctor sort of puts his hand through the window. That day, that was my favorite. Those scenes, and getting sort of up and running, you know, being nervous but really excited. Yeah.
Right on.
Paul, you look like an angel. We know you've got a circle around the top of your head.
A saint.
All my good deeds, McCoy. A clear conscience, McCoy. That's what that is. I'm just saying.
That's the funniest thing you've said in a long time.
Yeah.
Hannah, great question, Hannah. Thank you for that one. And what do we have next? From Phoenix. If you could use the TARDIS to go to any Christmas past, which would you go to and why?
Does it have to be a personal one? Or?
No, I think you could. You can broaden out. Yeah.
I think I'd just choose a Dickensian Christmas. It probably was nothing like it's depicted, in the books, really. But it's very evocative of Christmas. Carol. I used to read Christmas Carol every Christmas. I don't so much now, but I just think that whole Dickensian Christmas idea is. So I'd probably give that a go. I'd probably be terribly disillusioned.
That's nice. I just narrated the story of the Christmas truce. The First World War story. The Western Front, about the two sides singing carols and then getting out of the trenches and meeting in no man's land. And so that I'd love to. That would be a good one to revisit. To be in one of either of the gangs, that nervously scrambled out and spent 2-3 hours just kicking a football around and swapping letters, stories, and souvenirs before they had to go back and kill each other again. That would be a good visit. Yeah, that one.
Good choice.
The thing about Christmas, of course, is that nothing much happens apart from Christmas on Christmas Day, usually. So going back to any Christmas is pretty much what Peter said, because we have most of our Christmas ideas come from Victorian Christmases. Then to go to a Victorian Christmas. Let's say that Bob Cratchit was real. I'd like to go and see what his was like. And knock.
It sounds almost like for the English anyway, Christmas was almost invented by so the idea of it. That we
Prince Albert, wasn't it? He
that's
invented
what we think of Christmas when we think of Christmas. I wonder what it was like before.
Nobody's saying the first Christmas yet.
The one I remember was I was going to midnight mass in Brompton Oratory. I don't know if anyone's been to Brompton Oratory, but it is the most astonishingly beautiful room. And I no longer believe, but I always enjoyed the theatricality of it. So I took my 2 teenage sons, and we were standing there waiting to go in, and it got all very cold, and Harrods lights all went off, and Christmas in London for tourists is just so dull. Anyway, the doors opened, and suddenly there was this long corridor of glass, and my youngest son, who was 18, and he was at that age where he was starting to use what we in English call, excuse my French. So we entered this tunnel, and he went, "Oh, bleep," the astonishment of it. And I responded, "Oh, another bleep." And then as we were going down, we were bleeping until we got to the end. And as we were going in, they were handing out hymnals. And at the end of it, he said something, and I went, "Oh, Jesus." And he handed it to me, smiled, and said, "Bless you, my son." And we walked in. I'll never forget that one. That was the real.
There you have it. There you go. Phoenix, great question.
Isn't that his church?
Pardon?
Isn't that Tony Blair's church?
It might. Yes, it could well be. Yeah.
It's the church for the London Oratory School. So where his son went. Yes, it probably is. Yeah.
It's beautiful. The mass was amazing. It was Latin, choir, the lot, candles, magic.
It was better when it was in Latin, wasn't it?
Yes, but you didn't understand what they were saying.
We felt elitist, didn't we?
It had a bit more mystery about it. Anyway, we digress.
No worries. Thank you for the question, Hannah, and a Merry Christmas to you. And here's one from Dr. Tatiana. Do you see your doctor as a role model?
Well, not you as a real doctor, Tatiana. if Dr. Tatiana means you're a real doctor, then you're the role model for us. There's a lot of talk about role models at the moment, isn't there? About a member of parliament in Britain has complained that a female doctor is not a role model for young men. And I don't think role models should be particularly related to the gender of the role model. People should be role models. And the doctor should be. Yes, of course he should. But so should we all.
I mean, that MP, he was a plank.
He was a plank.
Yeah,
Did you
complete
say?
plank.
Yes.
I mean, he was blaming Jodie for all this up and crime that's coming up. All these young men go around. When we were role models for the young boys, all those girls, all those break-ins, robberies that were going on just because there was no role model for them. The man's a plank.
Agreed.
Okay.
There you go.
I didn't see myself as a role model, I must admit, but I apparently was, according to the BBC, because at the time I was just about to do a quite lucrative beer commercial for Yorkshire Bitter, and the BBC said I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I was now to the doctor as McTeagle. But no, I didn't really. He's a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey.
Exactly. If you got if a fugitive alien is your role model, you've got issues, man. Let's face it.
Is that Dr. Tatiana from Brazil, by the way? I suppose we don't know, do we? But I'm betting it is.
Not sure. Paul, what's your take on it?
Like I just said, I think if that's you choose to make a role model of an alien, I don't know. You took the wrong fork in the road, I think.
I think it's me personally, the doctor is because he's an alien, he's got an outside perspective. And that's what gives it too. When he kind of tells us like, oh, war is ridiculous and murder and guns are useless and everything else. All these are good lessons. Absolutely.
These are lessons and some of the qualities of the character, the perseverance, whatever it is, the stubbornness, the loyalty, the decency. Of course, these are virtues, and they should be lauded. But honestly,
the doctor is a hero, but he's also the teacher and the mentor character. He's that rare combination of the archetypes of the hero and the sage, and that's what always made the character work.
Yeah.
So, and there you have it, Dr. Tatiana. And as Colin said, if you are a doctor, thank you for your work. And what do we have here? From Jared. I'll rephrase this. Have any of you found yourself in possession of anything from your respective sets?
The day I finished, the minute I finished the so-called movie in '96, there were already, as soon as they said rap and everybody clapped and champagne was produced, there were security people present in case the actors nicked anything, because everything was going to go into boxes just in case it became presumably in case it became a TV series. Everything was boxed and stored and everything else. But someone had obviously said it forewarned them, because they were right in the room. Couldn't take anything. Actors quite like to, don't they? They like to. Or sometimes we're given little mementos. Maybe you're even given a bit of your costume, whatever it is.
Right. When you did it, Paul, there were people in the room to stop you taking anything.
Oh, yeah.
Is it right? Okay. For the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't take anything that someone didn't say I could take. I'm not really relevant who that person was, but somebody said, that's fine, take that.
You sound like one of those Tory MPs saying, it's not illegal what I'm doing.
Well, it was the producer said, yes, take that. So, but it's still questionable in my mind if I ever tried to, pass it on for any, lucrative, any kind of remuneration, whether the BBC would pop its head up and say, actually, that's ours. I'm not sure about those things.
Down the years, most of the things that I've half-inched from the set have tended to be books. For the simple reason that most sets are dressed, if there are books in shot, if there are books in a scene, then the prop buyers and the people that supply these things, these art departments, buy books by the yard. That's how they describe it. So you get yards of books. They can be pretty random. You know, you're looking, next time you're looking at the film, there's a load of books. Those books were just, it's just like a sale of books. And they don't belong to anybody, so there's time. And sometimes, you know, in between shots, you realize that some of the books are actually rather good. And I've had a few.
They are good, aren't they?
Nobody's going to miss them, you know. And one is almost tempted to steal them by the yard. Yeah, so I've had a few of them down the years and a few bits of costume, like most actors.
When I was doing it,
there were those
chucking stuff into a skip at the end of the recording.
Yeah, most
so as he was going in the skip, I would occasionally say, well, can I have a bit of that? Yeah, mate, it's going to go in the bin anyway. So there was a lot of that went on. I was just saving them, recycling it or chucking it out.
Yeah.
But only little tiny bits of things.
Yeah. Well, I met a guy at one of the conventions who had I think it was 3 of the original Daleks, and the reason that he had them was that he'd asked the BBC just after Sylvester stopped doing it, if he could borrow 3 of the Daleks for something he was doing, and they said yes. And when he said at the end of the day, you know, he phoned the BBC and said, I finished with them, you know, can I send them back? They said just keep them, we don't want them. So it was that blasé at the end of the you know, the classic Doctors. Now I think it would be entirely different.
I think they were worth a fortune now, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, well they are worth. Yeah, he takes them to conventions.
While I was filming my Dalek story, one went missing overnight.
Yeah,
there were something like 5 Daleks on the set, and there were only 4 the next day. Nobody saw it go. The size of a Dalek gone.
Maybe it was a real one.
It was the only real one. Yeah, that's right. You got a better offer. That's what happened.
I didn't really take anything. I never thought of it really. Bizarrely, I wish I had. But luckily, as luck would have it, they gave me my whole costume for personal appearances. And so when they finished everything, they forgot to ask for it back. And I forgot to give it back.
Well, I was the same. John was so concerned about stuff going missing from the BBC. And there were 4 copies of my costumes for when you're filming and you get mucky, you have to put another one on. And he asked me to take one home with me so that if necessary, I could bring it in if there was one missing for filming. And at the end of it, I said, what do I do with this? He said, it's yours. Keep it. Nobody else would want to wear it.
I did.
Well, you didn't call that wearing it. You drowned in it. You got lost on my left sleeve, as I recall.
So now I'm remembering. So when I was persuaded to do that thing in '96, and then just before we shot it, I was handed a leather-bound book, and they said, "This is the Bible." You know, this is the Bible, and inside it had all these beautiful hand-drawn pictures, icons, about paragraphs of the myths, and it was meant to kind of prime me and give me the whole background. And it was beautiful. And I assumed that all you guys must have had similar. This was the thing. It must be still here. Nobody ever asked for it back. I've still got it. Never thought about it before or since, but it must be still here in the room. I must try and produce it sometime, and at a show, or show it to you. Next time we're lucky enough to all meet and be in the same room, I'll get it out. Yeah, we can have a scan of it.
Ah, very nice. There you have it, Jared. Great question. Thank you. And let's roll another one. And here's one from Max. What is everyone's favorite Big Finish audio drama that they have done?
Who can remember? I have no idea. I'm not, except that people tell me Spare Parts was very good. It's very difficult because when you're doing the series, you work on you rehearse it for 10 days and you go into either 2 blocks of studio. The stories stay with you. brilliant though the audio dramas are, the Big Finish audio dramas are, you do them in a day or 2 days, and then they disappear down the highway of your mind. And I can't even remember what the story was about when I did my next Big Finish audio, and they interview me about the last one, which can be, the previous week. I can barely remember anything about it. You really enjoy them, and they are really good. It's no remark about the quality of them, but they just don't stay in my mind. So I can only tell you what other people say.
And
I concur. It's exactly the same with me. I can't remember them.
Yeah. I'm a bit sentimentally attached to a couple. That's chiefly how I remember them. Because we all do hundreds now. We've all done.
Yeah.
There's one that my son was in. Earthly Child. I remember that one. It was great. Because there we were.
Yes.
So I was in one with David Tennant. He played a Nazi.
He played a Nazi.
Yeah. It was. Cold It. Yes, it was. The story was called Cold It. And Eve was playing this Nazi.
And I did one with David Tennant too, and he played a simple Scotsman, but really, I mean, a blithering idiot, and played it superbly. But then, of course, he would. But my favourite, I do remember, because every now and then I look at them on the shelf, and I say, I have no memory of doing that. And if I'm doing a long car journey, I'll take one down and pop it in. And because I remember nothing about it, I actually listen to the story. And there was one I did with Maggie Stables called, what was it called?
I'll look it up.
Arrangements for War. Arrangements for War. And it was beautifully written. We'll leave the acting to one side, but the story was charming, and it was quite an emotional piece. And I was very fond of that when I heard it, irrespective of the fact it was me in it.
I love it too when they get people that you just adore to come in and do them with you. Those are great plays, and they get some, it's just great people in. But I work with the genius Bernard Cribbins. I don't know if particularly our American friends know who he is, but to English people, he's a bit of a legend.
Yes.
Craig as well. He's just like people you like, and they get it, and those are really good days.
He was the first person to play Dangerous Davis.
He was.
And I was in it with him.
Oh, you were there, were you?
Yeah, and I pinched a girl's knickers, and they were in my saddlebag on my bike.
Hello.
That was my Bernard Cribbins experience. He found them.
Doctor on the Road.
And who was the second person to play it?
I don't know.
Peter Davison.
Oh, that's
that guy. Yeah.
Well,
yes, it's. I think that first film, the first one with Bernard Cribbins, I think they ran out of money or something, because they had to fill in big bits of it with a voiceover narrative.
Oh.
But with him reading it, it was a bit of a. I talked to him about it when I met him, and he wasn't. I didn't think it was he wasn't made the best it could have been, because. He said, he had to keep putting his voice. I had to keep explaining what the story was.
He's just a brilliant.
That's put me down.
All the great voices.
No, I'm sure the girls' knickers were still there, or wherever they are now.
And anyone out there listening who might not even know who Bernard Cribbins is, anyone who's got children, try and get hold of a copy of Burglar Bill. It's still the greatest audio adventure for children. It's just an absolute work of genius. And that's Bernard Cribbins. Anyway, you too will be a Bernard Cribbins fan by the end.
Right. There you go, Max. And Peter, yes, Spare Parts is definitely one of the better ones in your audio run.
Thank you.
So absolutely. Max, great question. Thank you. And Joshua, what is your funniest BTS memory?
What's BTS?
What's BTS?
BTS.
Is that a sandwich?
Back to. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I really
Is
don't
that
know.
getting the jab?
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to know this. I don't know what he's talking about here. What's your funniest BTS?
BTS.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Right.
Okay. All right.
I've never come across that before.
Yes.
That's a new one.
I think it's a modern term. It's too new for us. I think BTS.
Well, I told mine with the IRA thing.
Yeah.
Right. What would be my behind the scenes memory? We did I can't even remember what the story was now, but it was we had to get on a horse and cart and ride up to the front of this church and then jump off and run into the church, myself and the companions. And the only way they could get the horse to stop outside the church gate was to put the horse's owner the other side of the church gate. And when they came up with this brilliant idea, we went for a take, and the horse stopped briefly while we jumped off and ran through the gates. And then the horse decided to go and see its owner, taking with it the entire church gate and set. And I just heard shouting, and we all turned around to see the horse, the cart, and the church gate, and great magnificent arch coming towards us, towards the owner. And I think it was around, actually, the clip. The outtake was around for a while, but it was slightly frightening. But fun.
I'd do it. You're good, Sil.
Hello, I've disappeared.
Whoops.
I think one of my favourite memories was probably filming on a beach near Brighton. And there was a man sitting in a deck chair all day. And I asked who he was.
Oh, there we are.
He's the prop man. I said, but we haven't got any props. And then suddenly we did a scene where I had to throw a pebble into the sea. And he launched himself out of his deck chair, ran down to the beach, picked up a pebble, put it down, and said, "There's your pebble, Mr. Baker." And then I retreated 100 yards up the beach to walk along and pick up the same pebble on a pebbly beach. I think not.
Continuity.
Those were the days.
Did you actually pick up the same pebble?
No, of course not. Billions of pebbles, but it was mentioned in the script. So in those days, a prop man had to be there to identify the pebble, Mr. Baker.
You're lucky there weren't 12 of them there.
So that's a kind of significant memory.
Yeah.
That'll work. Paul, got one?
Don't think I have.
Fair.
I've got another one. Can I say one more?
Absolutely.
You can say one for me.
When we were filming in Lanzarote, briefly, and it was Nicola Bryant's first scene, and in the scene, she had to jump off the boat and pretend she was drowning, and then Turlo ran into the sea to save her. And we were filming on this deserted beach. We arrived at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and by about 10 o'clock in the morning, it turned out it was a nude beach. It was a nude bathing beach. And every time Nicola jumped off the boat and pretended to drown, about 7 nude German men would run into the sea to try and save her because we had no means.
Who can blame them?
Hey, bitte, Fräulein.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There you have it. Okay. I think we have time for one more. Let's see if we can go out on a really fun one. And this comes from Nadia, who wants to know, what is everybody's favorite Christmas film or television special to watch?
I just watched a couple of hours ago the Dinner for One. You know what you know that thing that
Oh yes.
Freddie Frinton.
I know.
Yes.
You know that thing?
Yes.
And,
Brilliant.
It's shot in the 60s and it's 40 minutes long. What's her name? The actress's name something May. And she's this old sort of duchess, and he's the servant, and he's
Something with May Whitty.
Is it? That's who it is. And anyway, and there are 6 imaginary guests she thinks are there, and then this butler has to feed everybody, and he has to play everybody, and it's Freddie Frinton. And this thing is the biggest. You know, like in the UK on Christmas Day, everybody watches the Queen's speech, or you're meant to. It's iconic. In Germany, apparently, they watch this Freddie Frinton film.
Yes.
I believe it's on every channel as well.
That's right. That's what they
Like
watch.
the Queen.
Yeah, and I was curious, and I watched it a couple of hours ago, and it is It's really worth a watch.
It's hilarious.
Watch.
Yeah.
It's old-fashioned, but you can't take your eyes off it. Anyway, yeah.
I tried to get permission to do it on the stage.
Yeah.
But his wife wouldn't allow it.
There you go.
Sadly.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Well, I'm very down. I used to watch. I used to like watching It's a Wonderful Life, of course. It's just sentimental and
so good. Though.
But now, I'm for the last 2 years, my children have informed me that that's no good as a Christmas movie, and we've had to watch Die Hard.
What?
Oh, it's apparently the Christmas movie of choice now. Die Hard.
It's a big ongoing debate. It's a big internet meme. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. No, it's not. Yes, it is.
Yeah. The song at the end must be a Christmas movie.
It used to be that, for years, a friend here in Bristol showed the old Scrooge film.
Alistair Sim.
Sim.
Yeah.
And we all, when we'd all seen it 25 times, but even so, it's still a work of genius.
My all-time favorite version.
If you need one to have as a favorite, that's not a bad place to start. If you have to insist on getting everybody around and showing anything, that's still an absolute work of genius.
I like the Snowman, the cartoon.
Oh.
So you're in a child, McCoy.
Yes. Yeah, I like it. The music as well.
Yeah.
Boy, that ending though. Whew.
Don't tell me the end. I've never seen it. Don't tell me the end.
I won't. Have a box of tissues. That's all I'll say.
And there's a Doctor Who Christmas special, of course.
Yes.
That in.
Is that your standby, Colin?
Not always, no. I'm with Peter. It's a Wonderful Life, or what's the one that Bing sings? I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas in.
Holiday Inn. Originally, it was Holiday Inn. Then they remade it White Christmas. There's 2 films where he sings it.
Yeah,
there's White Christmas, and the other is.
I like all that stuff.
Well, there you go, Nadia. Great question to send us off with. A happy holidays to you, gentlemen. As always, it's been an absolute delight. Any final words before we take our leave?
Just to say Merry Christmas to all you GalaxyConners and
Happy Christmas.
All those that we can't see, and all the 4 here I can see. So
Jingle bells, all of you. Jingle those bells.
Yeah.
Every opportunity. It's been my absolute pleasure to serve you all today. Once again, thank you for joining us on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us, and thank you all for your great questions. Hope to see everyone again soon. Bye-bye. Take care and remember, smile and breathe. Spend them often.